right, boys and girls, it is time for my 2025 Cincinnati Reds preview. They are officially a talking point on this channel. Obviously, a very disappointing season last year, 77 and 85, fourth place in the NL Central, only ahead by a game of the Pittsburgh Pirates. So, of course, we're about 5 days away, so I'm excited, man. I can't wait. They're officially back to being a talking point on this channel. And, obviously spring training, I kept up with it. Obviously, I watched it every now and then, but spring training only means so much. So it's like, at the end of the day, it's not, it's nothing too big, nothing to get too excited or too concerned about, I guess. But unless something was really, really glaring. But at the end of the day, man, it's a new opportunity, new season, new opportunity. So we just got to just start fresh and hopefully we stay healthy, obviously. And that's going to be key for us, man, this year. So I'm excited, though. I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to seeing what these young guns do, what some of these, how some of these guys step up, and how they come back even, from injury, whether it be from a bad season or whether it be to injury. So, obviously, it's just it's an exciting opportunity, man. So, obviously, we look at our record last year, as I said, 77 and 85. The main issue, and that wasn't the only issue, was the main issue, but key to just really, really bad play or really, really important players like, obviously Matt McLain, Noelvi Marte, no injury, but, he was still, because of him being a goofball, he missed 80 games to start the year. And obviously when he came back, he was really good his first game back against St. Louis. But other than that, he was just pathetic, in my opinion, the entire. And then obviously TJ Friedl, he was injured in and out of the lineup. And, he also had a pretty he was very iffy, but again, I'll put most of that on injury. I'm not gonna, completely get on him, but some of the bright spots on this team, man. Obviously, Elly De La Cruz, 25 home runs, 67 stolen bases, a 5.2 WAR. I mean, and that's like a good. He can be even better. I mean, he had a lot of instances where he would just struggle at the plate. He went through some major slumps, some major strikeouts. He oftentimes his discipline level would just not be what we need him to be. And obviously, that's something that I expect to change in 2025. And then, of course, Hunter Greene. The 2.75 ERA, 169 strikeouts last year. Unfortunately, man, the entire rotation was just hurt. I mean, Nick Lodolo, Andrew Abbott, Hunter Greene, Graham Ashcraft even. Like, unfortunately, that was just not a good year for health, and it was just awful. The entire rotation would get hurt, and then that would lead to bullpen games, and just obviously we know that that doesn't always go well. I mean, sometimes it would go well, but oftentimes it just wasn't it. But it is what it is. It's a new season, as I said, so I'm looking forward to seeing what some of these guys do. Especially back healthy. I'm hoping that there's not like a huge setback, like in terms of like the play stuff and whatnot, but. Obviously we got an injury in Tyler Stevenson. He's not going to be ready by opening day. So hopefully he comes back soon. I'm expecting big things from him as well. But yeah, that's some of the bright spots as far as like last year. And then of course Elly De La Cruz, power speed threat. He must cut down on the Ks, of course. I think that's everybody will agree on that. Matt McLain, he's going to take over as second base. I'm looking to see him. I think he could really be a 2020 guy, 20 home runs. And I honestly, one thing I'll say about Mike McLain, I was probably the highest on him as far as like the young guys. I mean, TJ Friedl, of course, you got to be high on, but Matt McLain, man, I expect some big things, and I'm hoping that he can come back to form or at least close to it early on. And then of course, Noelvi Marte, back from suspension, he's looking to establish himself, his first time in a full season, and that's going to be key for us. That's going to be important for us to really hit on that. I know that I don't want to say I really didn't want to give him the rust excuse because like he let his team down. He's the reason that he was not starting those 80 games to open the season, and he has no one to blame but himself. So I really don't want to give him the rust excuse. But at the end of the day, he's here for a full season, so it's a new opportunity. And then Spencer Steer, of course, he was hot to start the year last year, and then he a little bit of a downward turn, but at the end of the day, he was still a very, very good player for us, man. And he was also a 2020, player in 2024. He wasn't really known for that. But TJ Friedl, of course, he got to stay healthy. He's been, I think he had a broken wrist last year after coming back, and that was just unfortunate. I mean, he's good with contact. He's got some speed on the bases, but his main thing is he doesn't strike out too much. He's got the contact, and hopefully that all these guys, man, they just mesh well together. Early on, it's going to be difficult because so many guys are coming back from injury or suspension. I'm looking forward to seeing how it all gets put together. But yeah, those are some of our young guys, man. That's just what stands out to me the most. Obviously, we got other guys. Jonathan India's no longer there. We traded for Brady Singer, and I can get into that later. But a lot of great young players on this team. Great potential players, I should say, on this team. So we'll see how it all comes together. But in the infield, obviously Jeimer Candelario, a veteran presence. He's a versatile corner infielder, and he's very, very, very iffy on the defense. His offense, I can say whatever I want about it. Obviously I had that really rageful video about him, but it is what it is. And Christian Encarnacion Strand, again, another guy that needs to hopefully just stay healthy. He was very, very iffy last year, and then of course, he got hurt. So I was kind of looking forward to him seeing get out of that slump and everything. He had a good first series against Washington, but honestly, that was pretty much his only bright spot. But yeah, big power, of course. He's got to stay healthy. He had a tremendous 2023 season. So I'm just hoping that he could just stay healthy, man. Another guy that we really, really need to stay healthy, and we need him to get back to his form. And I'm hoping that, not only is it the talent thing, but it's also just a leadership thing. I'm hoping that the leadership changes, and I'll get into that as well. But Gavin Lux, he was also added out for infield depth. He's got a lot of championship and playoff experience with the Dodgers. So he's another guy that we can rely on, hopefully. He's not all that, but he's definitely a good player that we can have for depth on this team. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he fits in as well. And then, of course, Santiago Espinal. He could steal some playing time as well. If others struggle, don't get me wrong, he's struggled a lot. But there was a stretch last year where he actually had some good power. So I'm not going to harp on him too much because I don't think he's going to be that big of a, player on this team for us. But I still think he can be a good contact guy, but he's not really a bright spot. I wouldn't call him a bright spot, but he could be a potential bright spot, if you will. So that's something that I'm going to talk about until I'm blue in the face, but at the end of the day, it means nothing unless these guys all hit their full potential or at least close to it. And, the infield can be very good defensively as well if everybody can just, hit it off where they should. So that's all I got to say as far as the infield. And then we look at the outfield. Spencer Steele and TJ Freidl, I believe they're locks for center field and left field. So, hopefully that's not too much of an issue. But the right field competition, obviously Will Benson, he's no longer on the roster. He's he's in Louisville, I believe. So him and Jake Fraley, they're going to be fighting for that last spot in right field. I would give it to Jake Fraley, obviously. But, Jake Fraley, obviously, he played through injury a couple years ago. And then, of course, it's just it's one of those things we just we need some consistency there. That was the issue. That's why we struggled. I feel like defensively a lot last year is the inconsistency of putting guys in, taking guys out. That was just a big issue, man. So I'm looking forward to seeing just hopefully some consistency. And of course, unfortunately I actually forgot to mention this, but Spencer Steele is going to be starting off on IL. His shoulder, but he said he's getting there, so that's a good sign. He feels good hitting. His throwing is still getting there as he described it. So I'm hoping that all gets taken care of. But man, it's just the one thing that I will say is it just sucks that we're starting off so many guys on the IL. And not so many guys, not as much as last year. Last year was awful, but right away having Tyler Stevenson and Spencer Steele start on the IL, it just sucks, man. But Jake Fraley, he was an average hitter, but he's a pretty good fielder, I would say. He's a good defensive. He's good on the deep. He's a good right fielder. So I trust him as far as that. But obviously his power, I'm hoping that can, for lack of a better word, just get up there. That's the best way I can describe it, man. But yeah, the outfield, as far as that, little shaky, but it is what it is. But yeah, that's all I got to say as far as outfield. But the pitching, of course, that's the bright spot on this team. Hunter Greene, ace, potential Cy Young, dark horse candidate, I would say. He was on his way last year, I would argue. He would have been on his way if he didn't start off kind of very, very poorly. But Brady Singer, he got acquired from the Royals. He's got a good slider. I've watched him. He's got a good slider, man. So he can fit in there right, hopefully. And then, again, I've said this so many times. Nick Lodolo and Andrew Abbott, very, very, very strong left-handed pitchers, but they have to stay healthy. Nick Lodolo, he was iffy last year when he would like it was just you just didn't really expect all of that to be like we didn't expect so many injuries, man. I wish I could say that I would have, but it just sucked to see everybody go down like that. But if these guys are healthy, I believe they really have good potential. And then of course Nick Martinez, he started off as a starter last year, but he was more of a reliever option. I mean, once he got moved to the bullpen, he was very, 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 very solid for us. So I think that there's some versatility there, and I think that's one thing that I'm really excited about. And then of course Alexis Diaz, he leads the bullpen, electric closer. He's got to limit the walks. He's got to limit giving Reds fans a heart attack in the ninth inning. That's the one thing I can definitely vouch for, that he gives a heart attack to every single Reds fan. Everybody. When I was in a stadium, I remember talking to a fan. I'm like, man, like a fan actually told me, like, oh my God, is that guy coming out again? Oh, I'm ready to get like very, very nervous. Yeah, I think that speaks to like what Alexis Diaz does to Reds fans, man, when he comes out there. It's never very smooth. I mean, it'll be smooth every now and then, but man, for the most part, it is stressful. So that's all I got to say as far as pitching goes. If these guys can stay healthy, they'll be among the very best. I know that for a fact. They definitely can be, but it just hits. You got to stay consistent. That's the main thing. If you stay consistent, I think everybody will know your upside and know what you're capable of doing. And, I obviously, as a Reds fan, I know what these guys are capable of doing, but I think everybody will know is if they can just stay consistent. That's the main thing. Consistency is key as far as pitching goes, and that applies to anybody, any team. So, and then if you look at the keys, obviously, I think the keys, like, here's the thing. The keys for 2025, it's going to be this. Injuries absolutely derailed us last year, so if we can stay on the field, that's going to be key for us. Elly De La Cruz's growth is going to have to be it can't be stagnant. It's got to be. I mean, he's got to refine his defense. He can't. I mean, he had some good plays in spring training. I will say, if you watch, he had some good defensive plays in spring training. But the defense and the plate discipline, I think those are two key things that really, really need to improve for Elly De La Cruz. So, if I'm going to be honest with you, I believe that it can happen. And Terry Francona has really, really spoken about what he feels about Elly De La Cruz. So I'm hoping that he can give the young guys some confidence, and then of course the young pitchers, they take a step forward. I mean, Lodolo, Abbott, Singer, they hopefully can deliver as obviously as Greene does. I mean, obviously Hunter Greene, he's got to be sharp like he was last year. But these three guys, if they can deliver, man, again, as I said, this pitching staff can be one of the very best. But defensive improvements, the errors were awful last year, and then of course, not to mention, I didn't mention this, but not only were the errors offered, the base running was even worse. And I think that just a lot of that I just blame all that on the manager. I mean, you're not teaching them the basic fundamentals of the game. I have to blame David Bell. I know we can't harp on David Bell too much. He's not here anymore and whatnot, but man, he cost this team big time. And even you hear Jonathan India, as I said, he's speaking out about it. Like, he said, like, man, Francona for them, it's very, 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 very good because that raises the bar as far as like the team and just the standard. I mean, David Bell just did not have standards. I've said this a million times. David Bell, I would love him as a player because I get paid so much money and I won't have to do my job. That's what David Bell does. He coddles his guys. The only time I've seen him get mad is when he's mad at the umpires. But he never holds his guys accountable, and he never did. I'm glad I can use past terms, past tense terms now with David Bell. Very glad he's out of here. Terry Francona, he's a winner. He brings out the best out of young talent, and that's why I'm excited to see what he does with this young talent because these are some great, great young players, man. I mean, no question about it. If they can stay healthy, they can be great, great players. And then, of course, the defense needs to clean up. I mean, you can't have guys. First of all, you can't have just guys. I mean, airmailing. First of all, there was a lot of those last year, especially from Elly. And I hate to say it, but there was a lot of airmailing when on throws to first base and just bobbling and late throwing. I mean, that's not what this team should be. And then, of course, it's consistent power hitting. Like, again, a lot of these guys got pop in their bats, but this is a top three, I believe, strikeout team. I mean, we struck out like the third most times among all MLB teams. It was so hard to watch and very, very frustrating. I'm hoping that it just decreases because there are just times where I was pissed, to say the least. Because this offense just went dead and cold They would, I mean, you'd see like amazing, amazing outings from Hunter Greene or even like sometimes Andrew Abbott and whatnot. Like, and the offense just would not deliver. I mean, Hunter Greene was notorious for like getting derailed by his offense. I mean, he had some incredible outing, and he would have gotten a lot more recognition if his offense simply just scored some runs. So those are the keys for 2025. Again, as I said, I'm super excited for this team right here. It's going to be super fun to watch. Terry Francona, he's here now. He's the leader of these guys, a leader of men. David Bell was a leader of babies. He was a leader of just a daycare, it felt like. But these guys, if they can all get put together. And here's one thing. A lot of guys, like, they would refute, like, David Bell, defenders and whatnot, like, they would refute that David Bell should not have coddled his guys. Like, I mean, I'm the one who say that. And then, like, one guy I remember, like, I said, like, man, you got to, like, hold these guys accountable. You got to be, like, telling them, yelling at them, what are you doing? What are you doing? They'd be like, they won't take it the right way. Heck with that. They're professionals. They better take it the right way. You got to do your job. That's the main thing. This team needs to do their job. This team needs to just lock the F in. No more of that, 3-point contest BS. I mean, in spring training last year or whatever it was, like, that pissed me off. Honestly, like, I saw, like, a really good, I saw a Reds fan that he was talking about just, like, I don't want to see any more, spring training, 3-point contests, these, like, inclusive activities, get-togethers and whatnot. Like, that's all fun. But for a team that just, let's face it, they haven't won anything. You cannot have that mentality. I mean, prepare to win baseball games, and I'm hoping that this team really took that seriously. Because from the way I've seen Elly talk, from the way I've seen Spencer Steer talk, or like anybody really on this team, like, I've just noticed a change in, like, man, we're like ready. So I'm hoping that they are. I'm hoping that they don't go too, you know, you don't play with too much emotion, I guess, because it takes you out of your focus, but just I hope that they're prepared to win some games, man. Especially like to open the season, it's going to be important for us to get off to a good start. I mean, that we saw that good start. I mean, we had a good start last year, obviously, but it just came off. The wheels just came off too quickly. So I'm hoping that these guys they get off to a good start and they just. I mean, I'm going to root for this team to win every game, but I'm hoping that obviously they don't. Obviously you don't want to peak so early, but I'm hoping they win as many games as they can. I don't care. I'm always going to root for the team to win. You can say they peaked. A lot of people say they peaked too early in June 2 years ago. Heck with that. I was rooting for them to win every game. That's what a fan is supposed to do. And I'm just going to continue to do that. Root for them to win every game. Root for them to win the World Series. If that's realistic or not, like you don't have to believe your team is going to win the World Series, but you got to root for them to win it. What's the point of watching? You play to watch your team win the World Series. And I'm hoping eventually this team gets there. Are we there right now? No, we're not. But I believe that we'll get there eventually. But anyway, you guys have a great one. I've been, very excited about the season. 5 days away. Looking forward to seeing how this team just comes together and meshes at the right time. You guys have a great one. Go Reds! And opening day, 5 days away. And remember, I always say this, nobody does opening day like Cincinnati, Ohio. The best parade, and I think the only, if I'm not mistaken, the only MLB team to do a parade for opening day. That's what we do, man. We're a huge baseball town. I'm looking forward to doing that, man. So looking forward to hopefully being around. I won't be at the game, but I'll probably be around that area, just enjoying the vibes of opening day, man. Because obviously I've never been to the parade, but I really, really want to go there one day. But you guys have a great one. Go Reds! As always, take care. See you guys next time.